important is small wins. Like ma'am said, Lakshmi ma'am said that their school is a first kind of school where the first generation of learner are coming, and this is a kind of a small win maybe, but it is important. Plan for, create short-term wins, as I said, consolidate improvements, and produce still more changes, right? Like what are the importance importance of this point is we need to look back, we need to check upon us, like what kind of changes we all need. And again, we should motivate ourselves, our teachers, our students, our parents, that what kind of change is required. Then again, there is a big need that our education system should collaborate with the institutionalized new approach. Then now there is this very important point which we this is really my observation. What student wants from teacher?
Preeti ma'am, I would request because of the time restriction, if we can, conclude in 1 more minute.
Okay, sure. The fairness in treatment, positive feedback, appreciation of different learning, understanding the concept, ability to communicate. Now, what parents wants from school, parents also wants that school should approach them, and what the kids should be motivated, and the talent, the skill, and the superior infrastructure. Now this is what point is wonderful. I want to share with you all that 10% what we read, 20% what we hear, 30% what we see, 50% what we both see and hear, 70% what is discussed with others, 80% of what we experience personally, and 90% what we teach to someone else. Now the challenge is there is a big shift in the classrooms. Earlier it was a teacher and a classroom. Now the classroom has come out. The 21st century classrooms is not more about the classroom. Now it's more about the field trip. So this is the difference, which see, I have been informed about the timings, but again, I would like to highlight few differences. What is most important here? The role of the teacher has changed. Now teacher is the facilitator and the coach. Our students are smart enough, right? And again, how can school respond to this shift? The power of real life, the power of demonstration, the power of question, the power of technology, with the power of going beyond the book. Yes. Now there are solutions. I would like to highlight this slide and we can relate to it in this pandemic. Now this is what our classroom is these days. So this is what 21st century learner is all about. He is multitasking. Now we are talking about multiple intelligence. There are 8 ways of knowing: bodily, musical, naturalistic, interpersonal, verbal, logical, and visual, which is most important. Then this is 21st century is all about digital age literacy, inventive thinking, effective communication, and high productivity. Now this picture is really, I was touched by this picture while I was preparing for this PPT. So this is the scenario is of 21st century classroom, and other side 21st century, 20th century and 21st century. So this is what happening in this pandemic time. And in 21st century classrooms, what we are seeing is that what teacher is looking forward, that student have access to rich information, global communication, where teachers support, facilitate, encourage, and collaborate with their students. And now here there is this quote, we see technology, he sees information. And there is a key shift of curriculum. Then again, dimension of effective technology, enhanced learning environments, task-oriented, challenging, collaborative, constructive, responsive, reflective, and formative. So your mantra of school be 3 I's: investigate, invent, and innovate. Like we should look forward, what is the problem? We need to investigate that. We need to invent, and according to the changes, we need to innovate. And then there is a big shift again. I would like to show the shift of from 20th century to 21st century. Now here, in teaching in 21st century is all about emergent strength, co-created, adaptive, diverse, integrated, mutual, and relationship. Now, as a teacher, parents and students have expectation from us, and we have to work on the challenges that we discuss and try to apply solution, which I described in the presentation. Thank you. And one more thing, when it's about the school, what I am doing on my part in my school to promote our children and to promote these skills. We are having like these training for the teachers, which is required, and it is important. Like sir said that in this pandemic, our teachers have been enabled that they are able to handle how technology, those who were not able to even click the mouse, now they are happily arranged these online classes, these online sessions, right? We are having the reading session, we are having a morning assembly, and we do talk about the various issues with our students, right? And for like promoting reading and writing, we do have these sessions with our students. And sports also plays earlier, like before this year, sports was a key ingredient, but due to this pandemic, it is a barrier now. So it's more about inside the home. So pandemic has made it possible that a teacher can take online classes, so which is again good for physical education teacher, that they are conducting these kind of classes where they can instruct and they can monitor. So I think this is again end of my part. Thank you.
Thank you, PT ma'am, for this wonderful presentation. Your ideas were very strong, and we all agree with you. You talked about teaching and its challenges, expectations, and solutions in 21st century. You talked about the importance of the training structure, which is now 5+3+3+4. You also talked about and explained the importance and impact of having multi-stream board which is being diluted in this NEP, multilinguistic. You also talked about the importance of 10 bagless days. But we see the chat box that a lot of schools have already, started using that kind of tool. We also talked about that NEP is talking about student-centric approach and is going to create an impact. We also talked about why we need to embrace technology. You also talked about the importance of empowering our learners with 21st century skills, be it collaboration, critical thinking. You also talked about very innovative thought, which is thought alignment, which you are already implementing in your school. That was a very I would say useful for all of us. You also talked about those 8 important steps for managing changes. In the end, you also talked about the expectations which students have from schools and parents have from school. You also talked about that important process, and that was very, very unique. How do we learn? So I believe we all need to see the importance of different parts in that. We also talked about why teachers need to treat themselves as a facilitator, not just instructor. In fact, a lot of senior educators who have participated in these sessions have maintained that today's learner don't come to teachers for information. Our students have far bigger resources for information today. They come to teachers for perspective. So teachers need to empower themselves accordingly. We also talked about those 3 important I's: we investigate, invent, and innovate. And then you shared a few best practices in your school. Big thanks, PT ma'am.
Yeah, I want to share one more thing which I have learned from our, like we are having a group of schools. So one is heading by Mrs. Pushpa Sharma ma'am. So what she says that every teacher, every principal, they are handling what is most important for all of us, that we all are managing our things. So she rightly says that that if I talk to her personally, so she says that you just follow this. She must have heard it from her elders. So I have heard from her that सीढ़ियां उन्हें मुबारक हो जिनको छत पर जाना है, जिन्हें छूना है आसमान उन्हें अपना रास्ता खुद बनाना है. So this is I truly believe.
Absolutely.
Seriously. And I am so much impressed by Lakshmi ma'am, sir, who is having Arun sir. And I mean, because I'm quite young enough. So this is my experience, and I am feeling wonderful to hear you all. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me here. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Jaswinder sir, Lakshmi ma'am. I know I have taken a lot of time because I have lots of things to share, and I'm really proud of my teacher. The staff is working. I mean, teaching is the only profession which accepts everything. Every kind of child they are accepting. We are
Absolutely.
accepting.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
want. I know I got a bit enthusiastic, but
No,
this is what
that
we are.
shows the true passion of an educator, and we are very honored that we have people like you in the young generation. And also honored to announce that we have Pushpa Sharma ji with us. Welcome, Pushpa ma'am. You know, so आपका quote हम सबने लिख लिया. Uh, I would also share one important quote which one senior educator from Lucknow participated in sessions that shared that nothing about us without us. So that was also very meaningful line. So big thanks, PC ma'am. I'll come back to you with questions. Abhi,
Sure.
also, just half of the session, we have 2 more rounds. I would be coming back to you with questions and then for your concluding remarks. So big thanks for sharing these important thoughts. And
Sure.
now I would request Jaswinder sir, sir, if we can have your idea of your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Rajulji. And now I can safely say good afternoon, everybody. So let's get into the afternoon mode. Okay, I'm going to see, I've heard most of the educators, and there's two common things that we see. Most of us say that COVID, in a way, has been a blessing in disguise, not openly said, but felt by most people who are in the education business. Two things. It gave us time to sit back and think, what are we doing? What needs to be done? What is life? What is humanity? That's one thing that we've learned. And not only that, it has also made us all teachers believe that yes, I can do something. Yes, I can do this. Earlier, there was just a block. It was a mental block that ye mere bas ki baat nahi hai. I am grown up. I'm outgrown this thing. So this is something that we understand. So that's a very important thing. The second thing is that technology. Since I come from that background, I would want to put that up that technology is the only thing which can help us do what we think is a huge task while implementing NEP 2020. Earlier, one of the educators had made a statement, and I would want to put it on to you. They said that all teachers, we teachers are technology migrants, but students are technology residents. So if we are migrants, we better take care and go through that. So with this, what I would want to start with is that, we all believe that teachers form the integral part of the process of teaching and learning. We need to see to it that we train them well. This is something that all of us educators have already voiced. But the point comes in that what should we teach them in first? How should we deliver them? Because one of the speakers said that there were 50 hours of teaching that you're planning to do. I think Kavita Sangvi ma'am, you talked about that the teacher is 50 hours. How do we do that? We can have online teaching, we can have online training, because understand one thing, we may not be able to spare 50 working days for our teachers to go out. Second, it can't be one training fits all. There are only 10-20% training which is common for everybody, but there are going to be core subject trainings. How can we do that? So the answer is that we use the platform that we are using to teach students. Why not get taught that way? Right? So technology plays an important part in getting these teachers trained anytime, anywhere, and from anywhere. So that's something that I would want to point, that we need to do it. But more important is this: when we talk about this entire process, everybody is of the opinion that teachers need to be trained. But how do we start training them? It is not that we have to teacher English if she's an English teacher. What we have to teach them is how to deliver. How do we do that? So that's an important part that we need to look at, that how do we work on that. Coming into the most important part here again is, which we're talking about, is how do we create the right kind of teacher generation or people that are coming in. We need to make this profession an important profession, we need to see it that we get the right kind of people attending it and getting into this. One important thing that I was talking about is we first need to train our teachers how to look for information. Understand one thing, we don't need to learn how to do coding if I'm a teacher of XYZ subject. What the teachers need to be trained is how to use the internet, how to use the various available tools to get the right kind of information and do that. Because understand one thing, we're all talking that pandemic has made a change. The biggest change is that it has brought in blended teaching and blended learning. What blended would be, there will be some part which will be taught by the teacher and there will be other part which the child has to go and go research and find that out. We've all heard about flipped classrooms. That is what is the coming in. That is what is coming in. We all need to be ready. Understand that we as teachers will never be able to cope up with the speed of the young learner when it comes to technology. They will know far more than what we know. So what we need to do is, from becoming a sage on the stage, we need to become a motivator or a facilitator. So let me give you an example of what actually this flipped classroom will be. A lot of things have been talked about it. Flipped classroom is, now normally what we do is we go into a class, we start saying, okay, today I'm going to teach a subject on volcanoes. And then I start teaching and the students just listen. Passively, actively, that's beside the point. But rather than this, if I do that, tomorrow I'm going to come and talk about volcanoes and I want each one of you to bring in 10 lines. Ma'am, it is the same kind of picture. I'm talking about Miss Sharma. You showed that picture when you were moved by seeing all the kids around computers. That is what is going to happen. So when you tell them that I want just 10 lines on volcanoes and each one needs to get his or her own lines, what the students are going to do is they're straight going to go home and just Google it out. Unfortunately, when they Google, they will not get 10 lines. They will get 10,000 lines. That is where the scamming part comes in. Lakshmi ma'am, you did talk about listening, speaking, reading, writing, and scamming. How to look for information fast and filter it the way I want. So each of these kids get it. And when they come to school, what you do is you ask them to come and present themselves. So there was I think, Preeti ma'am, you did talk about presentations, right? That is the kind of skill. So when the child gets up and he speaks, communication, confidence, presentation, and passion for what he has found out, and that's what they discuss in the class. So everybody listens to that. So if you have a class of 30, you got 30 people giving their 10 lines, and ultimately they debate, which is a very important thing. They think, they collaborate, and then they come out with common 10 lines, which is under the guidance of the teacher. So the teacher needs to know how to get through these tools, needs to know how to conduct. This is the kind of teaching that we training that we need to do. Understand, we cannot keep training to teachers every year, because every year the curriculum will change. Life is moving very fast. So we need to train them on how to train themselves, how to learn. When we say that we should not teach students what to learn, we should teach them how to learn. Right? So, and why not for the teachers? So it starts with that. That there again, I'm saying is technology will play a very, very important role. And that's what we need to understand. Earlier, what used to happen, each school you'd have an IT resource person. Gone are those days. Everybody needs to be an IT resource person, because you are going to enable this. So understand, the school of 21st century will have less time in the school, more time sitting at home and doing research, because NEP is again talking about research, research, research. We are past education policies have all been to follow. ये बताया है, ये पढ़ लो, खत्म कर लो. बट मैम व्हेन यू सेड कि जिनको आसमान छूना है उनको अपने आप रास्ता ढूंढना है, तो बच्चों को भी उसकी तैयारी करनी होगी. एंड फॉर दैट there's something very important. Please understand. In fact, this was taken up by, I think, Lakshmi ma'am on the reading part. Increasingly, our students are reading less. And that's where the problem is. When we are talking about research-based, that means you have to read, you have to find out. If the students do not form a habit of reading, it doesn't work. So since we work with more than 1 million students in India on a yearly basis, our research says that reading is going down. So what we have done is we have come up with a digital library. Ma'am, you said that you got this thing, excellent, but what we have done is we've got a digital library which the student can record and come out with details. So form those habits and come on to that. So if we want NEP 2020 to be implemented the right way, the spirit is that students should be trained to learn on their own, come up with their own thing. It is not that Indians are not good. We did not perform well in PISA because all the students, they were sent from government schools. Private schools were not involved. This year they're involving, and schools are trying and working that how do we reach? If Indians can come up with the best of the scientists, best of the economists, best of the mathematicians are from India, they have had their early childhood in India, then gone to other countries. We are not that bad. The only thing, our kids have not been given the required platform, exposure. We as educationists don't know about these things. How will our kids know? So that is something I would say, right from the edu leaders to the teachers, please, please, please accept technology, which you've already done, but with a smiling face, go read and get things in. So this is one thing we're talking about. Now comes into my major important point is when we talk about language. Dr. Ishak did talk about the local language. All of us did a little bit of, hinting on the local language. What is this going to do? How is it going to affect education? First of all, it is a very, very good step that we start teaching kids in the early years in their mother tongue or the local language. How does this help? Imagine on one side, I'm trying to acquire English as a language, and in that same language, I'm taught maths and EVS. When I'm not confident with English, how do I understand this? So it's good that you have core subjects taught in local language, but understand that we need to see to it that all other languages are taken care of. Like we say, by the age of 6, 85% of brain development happens. It is also said by the age of 8, a child can acquire up to 5 languages. Okay, and if a child speaks 3 or more languages, the brain works better, and that is why we have the 3 language system. So we are talking about the local language, that is Hindi or Marathi or Gujarati or Punjabi or Tamil. Okay, second, we are talking about the foreign language. In our case, it's going to be English because that is the medium of instruction, or used to be. And the third would be a classical language. That could be a language like Sanskrit or Urdu, or maybe Tamil may be coming into that. So how does this help? First, in the early years, through their mother tongue, they will understand better. The concepts will become clearer. But right when, say, I'm just going to take Hindi as an example. So when they are being explained things in Hindi, English too should be given that same importance. You can't expect that when he comes to 8th standard and then you start teaching him. So earlier we had the concept of higher level language and lower level language. It should be same level language. And third, when we talk about our classical languages, that is where the Indian heritage is. A lot is written in the Vedas. Who is reading? The Germans. We need to bring in these things. So when we bring in these things, we are going to make the foundations much, much stronger. One, we're going to bring in nationalism within them. They are able to get the local heritage and the national heritage. And that is why this 3 language system works good. So as teachers, understand one thing, as edu leaders, NEP nowhere says that it has to be in local language. You can have the local language. And if a teacher is teaching in English and if she's from, say, from Maharashtra, she would know Marathi, right? If she stayed there. So that is not going to be a challenge. A lot of people have said, how will we get teachers for local languages? Now, if a person is locally there, that local language is not going to be a challenge. So I think what NEP talks about language is beautiful. Okay, they are also talking about making sure that our students read, because that is where we are going wrong. So if I have to sum up, I would say NEP, great document. If we understand it properly and if we implement properly, like everybody says, anything and everything can be achieved. If during pandemic, without even being able to buy a computer, if teachers were able to learn on their own from their kids, from their spouses, and if they were able to deliver, and not for 1, 2, 3, it was for 8, 9 months. And today, I can guarantee you most teachers have known how to use the computer or the mobile phone much better than what they're doing last year. So yes, pandemic in a way gave us time. Companies like us, when we were not able to go out, we were doing research. It was already, I think Preeti ma'am did talk about data. Very important. You need to get data, because if you need to make decisions, you need to have data, and not for 1 year, from many of years. So data is something that you all need to preserve. How is the child performing? How is the class performing? How is the teacher performing? And over the years, you will know which teacher what needs to be done, because this is something which we have to do. And again, the source is going to be your technology. So please get the right kind of technical people, get the right kind of technical training, and please collect your data. You never know when this data is going to be useful, right? So with this, I think I will close my talk on use of technology. Not a big task, just need to make them flow. And languages, yes, English is important. In fact, after the announcement of NEP 2020, we got more schools talking about how do we implement this. In fact, I would be, I'm proud to announce that we have developed a language to teach Sanskrit. When we Indians are teaching how to teach a foreign language, why not a local language? So we've already implemented that in a lot of Kendriya Vidyalayas. We've done it. We've more than 1100 of them will be using this Hindi, English, and Sanskrit lab. But other subjects are coming in because we need to recognize that Indian languages are much easier to acquire than English. One
Right.
last point: we talk about phonetics. English is not a language which is based on phonetics. Indian languages are, and now to make them acquire the language easily, they're putting in the phonics part of this, right? I think I have a signal that I've gone beyond my time. Thank you so much. I look forward to the question session. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Distinguished sir, for these wonderful and very strong remarks. And before I invite our next speaker, I must recognize the presence of Shilpi Bhadwaji, a Vice Principal Adarsh of World School Delhi. We also have Rakesh Sharmaji, a Principal Holy Convent School Delhi. And we also have Renu Balaji, Principal New Model Senior Secondary School, Malar Kotla. So we welcome you all. Thanks for joining. And thanks, Jaswinder sir, once again for sharing these wonderful points. I'll come back to you with questions. And now I would invite our last speaker for this very special session, Savio John. Savio, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajulji. It has been such a privilege. Somebody would, I think.
Yeah. Yes, Ranjit ji.
Sir, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, sir. Sir, Ranjit Kaur from Holy Convent School. So, all the first, a very warm good afternoon to all my
Ma'am, I would
students here.
request Ranjit ma'am, we are running out of time, so if you have
Sir,
to
I
say,
want to thank my principal.
Ranjit ma'am, we are running
Want
out
to
of
thank
time.
my
I would
principal,
request if you,
ma'am, Mrs. Pushpa Sharma.
Ranjit ma'am, if you want to say something, you can write in the chat
I
box.
want to thank my principal, ma'am.
Ma'am, we all are thanking her. We all are thanking her.
Just
Please
a
write,
minute,
write,
sir.
write. Ranjit ma'am, if you want to share something, you can write in the chat box. We are running out of time, so I believe you understand that. Thank you. Savio, over to you.
Thank you, Rajulji. Like I was saying, that it was really wonderful listening to all the speakers and getting enlightened on the NEP 2020. Well, the NEP talks about formally introducing arts, classics, history, literature, music, and other performing arts. That is a very welcome move. And like I always say during my sessions, that music, has been mentioned over 20 times in the NEP, and companies like us are really very happy that something like music is being addressed and being brought to the mainstream. And I would like to begin from the United States of America, where Torrens Music, that is the company which I work for, started off initially. And this was like 11 years back, and now we are in over 200 public schools in the US. And these schools are not even private schools. These are public schools which are always cash strapped and always wanting for funds. But in spite of that, we see that these classrooms, these music classrooms in the US, they are always so well equipped. Every child gets an access to a single instrument, to one instrument. So this enables proper learning for the child. And unless and until we see that this kind of a setup is done in our country, we might not be able to see the shift which we desire. Like even in the best schools, we have some of the schools which I have personally visited, I have seen that there is a child who's playing a particular instrument, and there are five other children who are waiting in line for that kid to finish playing. So resources is something which really needs to be addressed. And I feel music really needs to be brought to the forefront of everything right now. And it is high time we value the contribution of music in the development and the well-being of humans as a whole. And like somebody was speaking about the different types of intelligence, like which is put forth by Howard Gardner, this aptitude based learning and the support needs to be acknowledged, especially when it comes to what is the child good at and what is the child leaning towards. With your permission, if I can just share a presentation, Rajulji.
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
I would just quickly like to talk about what Torrens Music does, if you are able to see the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. We have addressed the elephant in the room. We know that there are problems which children are facing in the age group of 6 and 14: anxiety disorders, attention deficit, suicidal tendencies. Mr. Sunil Dangi has always been vocal about how we have seen rising cases of one suicide being happening every single minute. There are other depression and mood disorders which are suddenly on a rise, and all this has just increased. There has been a huge increase in these cases, especially during the pandemic. I am based out of Nagpur right now, and from Monday we are going in for another lockdown. So things are very complicated in these times. Suddenly, when we think that we need to prepare ourselves for the coming session, and in certain cities, then suddenly there is a lockdown which is called, and everybody is now making a beeline for the vaccine. So in these kind of situations, there is probably nothing which is planned, or we can move ahead with confidence. So in times like these is where music comes, especially if introduced to children in a young age. What music does is, it releases happy chemicals like serotonin and dopamine. These are mood boosters. So when a child listens to music, when a child is learning an instrument, plays an instrument, what is happening is that the mind is releasing these happy chemicals. So it creates a sort of a defense mechanism in the mind of the child against negative thoughts, against mood fluctuations. In this world where uh, every second youth we see who's you can see them in street corners or on terraces making TikTok videos. This is where we can actually equip our children to do something which is constructive, to do something which is very positive. And we have also understood that music has been used as a therapy in medicines since a very long time. Music reduces anxiety, blood pressure. Einstein himself took up music education so that it could augment his understanding and thinking abilities. And we do see that, just giving you a little brief about Torrens Music. We started off as an online website in the year 2010, and since then we have taught over 2.5 lakh subscribers online across 140 countries. And talking about India, we are in 85 plus schools across 28 cities. And these are some images of the classroom. On top, you can see that this is the piano room, and below is the guitar room. We started in India in the year 2017, with a pilot program from SNBP Group of Schools, Pune. And this is how our music rooms look like. Everything that you see, the walls, the carpet, the instruments and everything. The rooms were given to us like this. And see, what we do is we make it a lively space. Somewhere where the kids can always come and they want to kick back and enjoy their session of music, and they look forward to it. And these are some images from a live classroom. And the resources which we have, since we have been online music service providers, we bring to you the best of both worlds. We have trained instructors. Instructors are trained in providing personalized attention to all the children. Classes can be customized and integrated according to the timetable of the school. Along with this, we also offer 24/7 online resources. And when the child logs into online.torrents.com, which is the web portal for our schools, the children can access hundreds and thousands of videos. After what is taught in the school, the child gets back home, and the child is able to access all these amazing videos and learn a lot of amazing music, in keyboards, guitars, drums, vocals. And these are some images from our live monitoring system. This is the attendance scheduler. And on the right, you can see the lesson marking system. And this is how the details are sent to the school, and even the parents can access, so that the schools can handle, can get an access to a real-time understanding of what is happening in the class. Talking about the curriculum, our curriculum has been designed by international experts in 10 levels across guitar, keyboards, drums, ukulele, Indian Western vocals, and tabla. And I just want to close it quickly because I understand that we are running out of time. Some courses which we innovated when and suddenly the lockdown was declared, and some schools really wanted to continue offering the children the music program. So what we did is we innovated some super courses like beatboxing, songwriting, body percussion, home percussion, and they were very well received by the schools. We did understand that children did not have music instruments at home, so how to continue teaching them music in the comfort of their homes? This is what we did, and these are some images from the classes which we conducted. They were received so well by the children and also appreciated by all their parents. And these are some images from our All India Band contest. We've got like 8-9,000 people attending these competitions, which is conducted in Pune, and it is judged by music celebrities and the Bollywood celebrities. And again, some pictures. Ehsan Nurani of Shankar Ehsan Loy fame happens to be our ambassador, mentor, partner, and a director as well. And he's been very instrumental in helping us formulate the curriculum according to our Indian needs. And just one thing I would like to speak about before I end my presentation. I was called by one of the principals in one of the Central Indian schools, and ma'am, she happened to speak to me about various things, and she said that after the music program was introduced in her school, there was a reduction of almost 100% in classroom violence and property breakage. We have seen in many schools, towards the end, when the child passes out of the 10th or the 12th, there's a lot of energy in the children, and after they pass their 10th and 12th, they do feel that they've achieved quite a lot. And there are instances we have seen when property at the school has been broken, notice boards are broken, lights have been broken, the fans have been bent downward. So the principal actually happened to address this and said after the drum and keyboard program was introduced in the school, she witnessed 100% reduction in these instances. So that is all, and I'm looking forward to the question and answer session. Thank you so much, Rajulji. Over to you.
Thank you, Savio, for sharing the importance of music and how it can increase the efficiency, and sharing how tolerance can help us. So big thanks. So I once again thank you all for sharing your remarks and ideas. Now we come to the last part of the session, which is the question part. We have received many questions. I would also invite all of the participants, if they have any questions, they can write in the chat box. So we have already received many questions. But before I start presenting these questions to our key speakers, Lakshmi ma'am, Kavita ma'am, Arun sir, Ishtiaq sir, Preeti ma'am, Jaswinder sir, Savio sir, I just would like to take a minute and would present my screen for a minute just to share what exactly we have been doing at school Lalaji Solutions, and then I'll come back to this question part. So I'll just share my screen for a minute. Some of you are already aware with School Lalaji Solutions, we are India's largest one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We are present in 42 cities, working with some around 4,500 institutions. So this is pre-COVID status. We help educational institutions in 3 ways. We help them in buying right thing at right price from right supplier. We also help institutions in selling their old stuff like their old buses, generator, furniture. We also help institutions in raising money. That may be in terms of loans or fee financing. Why there is a need for a platform like School Lalaji Solutions? You all have your old suppliers, you have your expertise, you believe that your team is getting good discount, team is efficient. Why you need a platform like School Lalaji to find a right supplier, right team for you for different areas? Because of 2 things. One, in our education ecosystem in 2021, we have more than 10,000 educational suppliers in different categories, in all these categories. So it's very difficult for all these school leaders to reach out to those companies, to understand their products, or to understand the difference between different products, to negotiate with all of them. It is true for those companies. It's difficult for them to reach out to all school leaders. So here we come into picture. We understand your school, your taste, your requirement, your budgetary limitation. Then accordingly, we have category experts who connect with different companies in all categories almost on daily basis. They negotiate with them. They also talk to their previous clients to just certify their credibility. And accordingly, we connect with the right partner. We help educational institutions in all different categories: smart classroom procurement, uniform, insurance, diesel, solar plant, language lab, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classroom, healthcare. robotics, STEM STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, and finance. And we take the guarantee that we'll save at least 5 to 7% of your annual expenditure. So that's kind of 5% additional revenue generation. Just one example, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees for different schools in one category only, that is bus insurance. We are perhaps India's largest school bus insurance partner. Some major highlights: we did 8 megawatt plus solar installation, 3,000 plus bus insurance, 400 plus smart classrooms, 2,000 plus cameras we installed, 350 plus training programs we had organized, 56 old buses we sold from one school to another, uniform in 42 schools. And by the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 10,000 institutions. We need your support, your guidance, your blessings. So I'll end my talk here. And with this, we come to that question part. I would request Lakshmi ma'am, if I may present the first question to you. Lakshmi ma'am, this question has come from Ms. Navneet Kaur. She's a teacher with Desh Bhagat Global College, Mandi, Govindgarh. The question says, what kind of syllabus is going to change in pre-primary classes? So if I just add one more line to this, what kind of changes you perceive? In fact, in last session, one educator asked 2 questions, belong to this particular category. One, do the existing primary preschools, they need to take certification from some authority? Number one. Second, are we going to see that these existing preschools, nursery schools, which are there, in every state or in different part of city, they are going to teach students up to class 2nd? So 3 questions: syllabus change, certification from which authority, and are they going to allow to teach student up to 2nd standard? Lakshmi ma'am.
Yeah, exactly. Now with this, I would like to say that with this 5+3, obviously this is a question which is haunting all of us. And I think nothing very clarity has come down from the policy makers as to are they going to do away with the primary preschooling levels, which is from 3 to it has come down to 5. So that means, do we have up to 2nd standard, as one of our speakers very rightfully said? Like if we have up till 2nd, do we take admissions at 3rd at the proper schooling level? There has been no clarity on this. So even I am myself a bit puzzled as to what they have in mind. Yes, the process is very clearly stated. We are going to have 5, and obviously the flavors are going to change in terms of like making things more bilingual. Obviously, things are going to be better. Like, usually now what we used to say is speak only in English, talk to English. Perhaps now we'll all go bilingual. That is one thing. Flavors would be, obviously, it is going to be more learner-centered kind of a transaction of curriculum, which would be more hinging on empowering the children with basic fundamental learning, so that we equip them for, and it gets merged with skill as well as vocational training, which takes the post-primary education. So that is what the change in flavor would be. As of now, even I'm not too clear as to what the national policy is going to be with regarding to the nursery and the preschool, play schools and all these setup which are functioning as an independent unit until now preschool. And first we used to take admissions. Now, do we take at 3? It's $1 million question.
Right. And if someone comes to you, ma'am, for your advice, he or she is planning to start a nursery school in your city, so would you advise her to start or wait for 1 or 2 years?
No, I would not. See, when we are a part of a broader framework, they, as one of our speaker very correctly he said they do as is suiting the purpose, right? But that is not. When we are a part of a major curriculum, let us follow a system. And when a school is in place, let the school handle the job the way it has to be. I would say no.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Lakshmi ma'am. I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. Now, yes. I would request Kavita ma'am. Ma'am, this question has come from Ms. Sarita Best. Sarita ji is a teacher with the Prince Public School, Delhi. The question says, will presently working teachers get extra training according to NEP?
Yeah, definitely training is going to happen. Already CBSE, ICSE has started Diksha training, and all the teachers are undergoing the training right now. It's mandatory. So trainings are definitely happening right now. But yes, more clarity as to a long-term project. It cannot be just offhand. It has to be continuum. The continue needs to come in place and for us to answer that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you, Kavita ma'am. I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. And now I would request Arun sir. Arun sir will take this question from the chat box. Mr. Suyash Bhandari has asked this question. Will the board exams be cancelled for class 10? Suyash, Arun sir?
Yes, sir. No, till now, there is no such kind of thing. Board exam will happen accordingly, as CBSE has already given the date sheet, updated date sheet also. So I think there is no chance of cancelling the class 10th
But
exams.
for the year 2022 or 23?
22 and 23, no. It will be according to NEP from 24.
24th. So there won't be any board exam for class 10th from 2024 onwards, right?
24 onwards, yes.
Right, great. So thank you, Arun sir. I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. And now I would request Ishtiaq sir, if I may present this question to you.
Yes, sir.
So this question has come from Ms. Suman. She's a TGT with Sindhya Kanya Vidyalaya Gwalior. The question says, what will be the specific role of physical education teacher in NEP? Because most of them are being used as substitution. So I have also posted the question in the chat box.
Yes. In this situation, sir, I can say here art education, art learning has been implemented. So it's going to be related with all the subjects. Art integrated, we are calling it as, it's going to be get integrated with everything. So now in the CBSE, if you see 3 of the subjects has become very much mandatory. So it's going to be very important role of a physical education teacher to have the sports done there in the school. There are 3 subjects which we call them as health and physical education, art integration, and the third one is the work experience, through which we are giving the students the grades, and they have to perform certain activities there in the school. Now in the pandemic situation, even though we are having the online sessions in my school, I'm telling you, I have given certain instructions and certain directions to my physical education teacher to have conducted some kind of activities or virtually to the students. Yes, there is going to be importance for the physical education teacher as well.
Right. So thank you, Ishtiaq sir. Now I would request Preeti ma'am. Preeti ji, next question is a very basic question, and I would say this demands. This has been asked by this has been asked by Ms. Shelly Jhavaria. She's a primary teacher with Prince Public School, Rohini. The question says, why do we need a new education policy? By having a new policy, do we mean that our previous education structure was a failure?
No, not at all. As I earlier said that we all need to have this kind of data. We need to see again. Earlier, our parents and our grandparents used to use that. I got to know. I've heard story from them. They used to use these kind of slates and the kalam. Right, then it has come to chalkboard. Now it is come to digital board. So is it what our grandparents and parents have learned, was that wrong? The method was again no, it wasn't wrong. The change is always expected, the change is always required, and we all should welcome the change, but do not doubt yourself. Do not doubt what has happened in the past. Welcome the future. Yeah, welcome the future, but don't doubt the past. I must say, we have the Lakshmi ma'am with us, we have Jaswinder ma'am with us, we have Pushpa Sharma ma'am with us, and one most important thing, this Savio sir has said that yes, music is an important part. You know, the president, former president, late Mr. Abdul Kalam Azad, he has insisted that music has been a wonderful part of his journey. He was keen music listener. So all 3 aspects he shared. See, it might be 10 years back. I've heard his views. Right. So, but 2 last lines. That music.
Question was just for 1 mark. It was an
objective question. So okay, I would like to conclude. Do not doubt past.
Absolutely.
Respect the experience.
We have Pushpa ma'am with us. Ma'am, we would not like to lose this opportunity. If we can have one question, from you, Pushpa ma'am. Am I audible?
I want someone to help Pushpa ma'am, please, to switch on her mic.
So before I go to this business, Pushpa ma'am, because we have your presence, so we would not like to lose the opportunity to learn from you. May I present one question to you, Pushpa ma'am? You are on mute.
Satnam ma'am, please unmute her mic if you're there.
Pushpa ma'am saying I'm here without roll number, so please don't give me the question. So we'll come back to you, ma'am. For some other session. Pushpa ma'am, thank you for participating. And I'm sure Jaswinder sir would like to add his input on this question as well. But I have a different question for him. Jaswinder sir, a lot of people are confused about the language. Many believe this policy has made it and could dilute the importance of English as a language. So what are your assessments?
See, it is not an attempt to make or to dilute English as a language. It is an attempt to give proper importance to the Indian languages. If you have two kids, you say, if I love my first kid, doesn't mean you don't love your second kid. But it's long time that you start giving your due respect to the presence of your first kid. Indian languages are languages like any other language. They too are used for communication. So the whole thing is, I have been giving these examples. I'll use a pen and a pencil. If I have a pencil this long and if I have a pen this way, if I want to become bigger, I don't cut this pencil, I make this longer. So that's what we do. So we need to see to it that our Indian languages are giving the due importance, because there's a lot of hidden treasure in our culture. We are the only country which has got varied cultures. Only country which is surviving with so many languages. I should not, but I would want to give you an example of Pakistan. Why did they have to break into two when Bangladesh was formed? Because they said Bengali mein baat nahi karni hai, Urdu mein hi karni hai, right? With two languages they couldn't survive. We are surviving with so many languages. That means there's something very, very important hidden in our culture and languages. And through language, you can know your culture better. So it is not that English will lose. Like I told you, our kids should know at least 3 languages. Not only to know the country better, not only to know the world better, not only to know your local area better, but to think smarter, think better. So that's an important part. One more thing is there. You see, English will not lose its importance because we are already the back office of the world. We're trying to become the factory of the world. We will soon become the service center of the world. How will you communicate? With the language of the world. It is not that it is a language of the Britishers. We should not get it. Aisa nahi hai. We should all use it. Like yesterday, I was watching the news where, Indian vaccine is going everywhere. So they are saying it is not that India is giving you the vaccine. India is sharing the vaccine. Bani hai, use karo. So English is a language which the Britishers have not given us. They have shared with us. So its importance will be there, but we need to see to it that we give the due importance to our local languages, which is very, very, very important. So that will not lose. But right. One more thing, ek aadha aur mark ki wali baat. I am scared of what is going to happen to the preschools. Believe me, no school will accept students in 3rd standard. They will all have their preschools. One important thing, what preschools need to do is, why a preschool is important? Because a mother would want to go only up to maximum 1 kilometer to go and drop the child. You can't have schools every 1 kilometer. So these will be, if a school is smart enough, they work out with the preschool and say, okay, we will accept all your students. We will not have a preschool. And then they have the hub and spoke model. Right. That is what is going to work. So that is because there are so many preschools, but they will be governed by policies. That is why they have laid a lot of stress on ECCE. That is why they made it, because they did not want to invest only to 3 years. Right. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Thank you. We understand that practical limitation. Now, I would request Sevio, the last question for the day. We talked about the importance of music. This NEP is also talking about, the importance of art integration, music in particular. In fact, music has been mentioned more than 20 times. Do you believe that all these schools in India have the infrastructure capability to have one music lab in their school, number one? Or do we have that number of trainers?
There are a few sides to this question, but looking at how short we are on time, I will try to make it very fast and just give you an answer for 1 mark. Um, yes, many of the private schools do have a capability of providing a lab like this. To know the technical know-how, you could always contact us and we could help you out in figuring out how to set up a lab like this. But on the larger scheme of things, if you want to reach out to everywhere around the country, and in a country which is as vast as ours, I think we need to go through the satellite route. This needs to be encapsulated, shortened, and then it needs to be delivered across. And like what you were saying about the shortage of teachers, there needs to be some kind of a national framework for music education as well. And it needs to be practical and theoretically integrated along with Hindustani and Western music. Some guidelines need to be given so that we can understand as to from where can we source the trainers and the teachers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sabio. I once again thank all the key participants, Lakshmi ma'am, Kavita ma'am, Arun sir, Ishtiyaq sir, Preeti ma'am, Jaswinder sir, Sabio sir, for joining and sharing your remarks. With this, we come to the end of this very, very special session. But before we end the session, I would request all our key speakers if we can have your quick concluding remark. And we have also established one very interesting practice that while sharing your concluding remark, if you can also suggest one idea, one suggestion which you would like to implement as your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education of our country. So what would be your priority? Let's say you are the Minister of Education for one day. So what you would like to implement during that one day? So I would request Preeti ma'am first. So Preeti ma'am, if I may request you for your concluding remark, and what would be your priority?
See, you have asked a very tough question, but again, I would like to conclude in a one line which I have heard and which I truly believe: go to masses and create your own class. Right? So you need to go to people, you need to go to your teachers, you need to go to your students, you need to go to your elders also to seek the experience and then create your own environment. That is what I would like to say.
Yes, wonderful. And if I may ask you, what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education?
See, I would like to empower each and every school, though there should be governing body. So, but I would like to empower each and every school because they are doing wonderful. It's not about money making. It's about how much hard working they are. So I want to create a profile for each and every school where they can show that how much they are contributing. And this is what this NEP is talking about. I hope they are empowering the schools. So implementation is again a big question. We got the draft only yet. So we need to see how it helps us. Earlier CCEs was there. So again, I will not say that it was a failure. I will not say that. But again, that was something which was not suitable, right? For a country like us. So we need to look forward. We need to see, and I would like to empower each and every school.
Right. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Preeti ma'am. So we hope you become a Minister of Education one day. So,
I hope so.
Now I would request Savio, we can have your concluding remark. And what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education? Savio?
I think he has left.
So he has become the Minister of Education. He's not listening to us now. So now I would request Jaswinder sir, so that we can have your concluding remark and what would be your priority if you get a chance.
Yeah. Wonderful. Happy note that you just left us with. Okay, so two things. When I talk about concluding remark, I would say yes, NEP is a huge task, but we can always achieve it or do wonders if we take it piecemeal. Take one thing at a time, do it, go to the second and thing. So this, if we break it down, this is a huge, massive task which can be into a series of small tasks, and we will be able to do it. There's nothing that they've asked us to do which is not thinkable or doable. The only thing is there's a lot of change. So if we see a lot of things at the same time, we actually get, boggled and what to do. So why my suggestion is take it piecemeal wise. I'm sure our teachers are good enough to go and do it. And the edu leaders have experience. It is not that we have just got into education system. We have known, we have tried, we have fallen, we've got up, we've done a lot of things, even though CC was a problem, but people managed it. Okay. So that was the thing. Okay. But the political will was different. That is why things changed. Now coming on to the question, which will be ministry. If I given the education ministry, what would I do? Okay, so I would start with that. Whatever kind of policy you make, whatever kind of infrastructure you do, whatever kind of rules you set up, this policy will be implemented only if our teaching fraternity is good. So we need to see to it that we get the right kind of people to come and join the teaching fraternity. Why should it be your last choice? Why should it be not your first choice? That is why they have come up with an integrated B.Ed. That right from the beginning you decide, no, yes, I'm going to be a teacher. And being a teacher is something that I look forward to. So we need to get the right kind of people. So as I think one of the speakers said, they need to be paid proper. Of course, based on their delivery and based on their professionalism, based on their knowledge about the subject and the things. So that is it to me. So what I would do is I would want the right kind of people to do it. So I would make teachers the first class citizens of the country first.
Wonderful.
You need to give the right kind of respect to them. I'll tell you, recently in one of the Scandinavian countries where the teachers are paid more than the doctors and the engineers, there was a problem. These doctors and engineers, being, big people in the society, they approached the government and said, why are we paid less than the teachers? And the answer was, because you are common people and the teacher is not a common person. He or she is the person who's made you. They are creating the future of the entire world, of your city, of your country. So you can never compare yourself with a teacher. So if we get this kind of a feeling in our teacher that they are not common, they are there to do extraordinary things, human brain is capable of doing extraordinary things.
Right.
Especially when you're working with these soft you minds where you need to actually create the right kind of person. It is not only education, it's empathy, social relations and social etiquettes. All these will come through a teacher. So I would want to have the teachers become the first class citizens of the country, to be paid most and to be respected the most. Now here I am on a mission, and I request, if all of you, Lakshmi ma'am, Ms. Sharma, Ishtiaq sir, the others who are there, including Pushpa ma'am, what I'm on this thing, I'm on a mission. I would want to share something. If you could all have a look at this, I'm going to share a small, just a sheet. I'm going to share this with you. Just a moment. I think I have to go to the first page of this. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is we are trying to bring in the right kind of respect and recognition to the teacher. Okay. So if you can just let me know if you can see the page properly. Can you see this page?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can see the
Okay.
page.
So what I'm trying to do is, what we're doing today is we need to recognize all our educationers. Our engineers write an ER before them, chartered accountants write a CA before their names, and doctors write a DR before them. Why can't we write an ED before our name? What we need to do is we need to bring this recognition. We want the world to know that I am a teacher. I am going to mold your next generation. I am the one who's going to be involved mentally, physically, emotionally, to bring out the nice citizen. So what we need to do is we need to get this. So my request to all of you is that if you could actually do this and hand it down. I have actually taken the liberty of writing this, of putting your names in this way, without your permission. But let's do this. Let people recognize us. And if I am recognized, I will always do a good job. Right? So that's the thing. Thank you, Lakshmi man. Please, can you also start writing ED before your name, ED before everything, so that people recognize it, and let us become a fraternity. We have no voice, right? And we are asked for us to, create people who will think, when we are not given the thing. So let's do that. It's a personal request to all of you. Spread it down.
Thank you, and
your
best
educators.
wishes, Jaswinder
Great.
sir.
Thank you, Jaswinder sir. Thank you very much.
Right,
That's
sir.
a really great idea of yours.
Thank you, sir. So please, let's go ahead with this. Thank you, Rajulji, and thank you everybody for the wonderful time that we have been together.
Thank you, Jaswinder sir, and wonderful initiative. You have our support. And now I would request Arun sir, if I may request you for your concluding remark. And what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education? Arun sir? So I believe
Arun sir has left long back, yeah.
Ishtiaq sir, I would request you now if you can have your concluding remark. And what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education?
It's very difficult. It's very difficult to answer this kind of a question because whether I'm going to become a Minister of Education for the state or the national, I don't know. But because I don't want to be in that, I want to be an educationist. And it was my passion, and teaching is my passion. I want to be with the children. I'm going to be with the children, and I want to create the children for the futuristic plans for the future of generation, for this nation. The only thing I can say, respect the teachers. Obviously, as sir told, why not let the teachers get paid properly according to their quality and according to their understanding? Why the teachers are paid very less? That's a huge big question mark on that. Respect the teachers, because everybody is getting molded by the teacher. Let it be an engineer, let it be an architect, let it be a doctor, anybody. He has to undergo the process of his beginning education under the guidance of a teacher. So respect for the teacher is very important according to me. Thank you, Rajat sir, for giving me a chance.
Absolutely, Ishtiaq sir, for sharing that. Thank you, sir. Now I would request Lakshmi ma'am, and Lakshmi ma'am, we would like to end the session with your remarks. If I may ask you for your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education? Lakshmi ma'am. You are on mute, ma'am.
Sorry, I said I'm quite loving this. I opened and now I'm closing. So that's a great thing. And I'm a bit jealous also because Jaswinder sir got a priority to speak, and he actually, it was like he was speaking my mind. So I also share his thought. So my concluding remark would be, one, in keeping in pace with the topic which I spoke, that is literacy, numeracy, and the third angle is digital literacy. Very important for the coming time. And second, I would totally agree that yes, teachers should be put in a better thing. Right now, it is like if you don't fit any job, you come to teaching. That thought process has to change. Teaching should come from your heart, and that shall come only when we improve the quality of pay scales. We actually belt out to the teacher, and here we forget. And I always feel, and I always voice out, that our primary teachers are the teachers who should be paid the best. Handling those impressionable mind is a very difficult task than handling a PhD. Being a guide to a PhD student, it's easy. But how do you handle a little mind, which is going to be the future? So I would rather put it other way around. The primary teachers should be the best paid in the industry today. One. And if I become the education minister, I think whatever policies, whatever decision has to be done, it has to be done by educationists. There should be no political interference. There should be no political agenda into this. Absolutely no interference. And obviously, see, it may be a very controversial statement which I make, but if I see the country today in a broader perspective, I think the government schools are run by the government, but then the management of the government school should be handed over to the private hands. They do a wonderful job, and it is the need of the hour. So we should not be focusing on 20% who get good education. We need to focus on the 80% who really require the correct education. So for that, the government managed schools should run, but the management should be handed over as a corporate social responsibility to the private schools completely. I hope that day comes once. I'm also keeping my fingers crossed. And I hope one day, yes, learning and teaching becomes a beautiful exercise. Let's hope for the best.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you,
you.
Lakshmi ma'am, once again, and big thanks to all the key speakers, Kavita ma'am, Arun sir, Lakshmi ma'am, Ishtiyaq sir, Preeti ma'am, Jastinder sir, Sedu sir, for joining and making this session truly special. I also thank Pushpa ma'am and other participants for being with us for the entire session and making this 132nd session truly special. Big thanks to all of you. We'll end the session here. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.